Okay, I think maybe we should come back before because I need to know what to say.
On that.
Yeah, I need to know. I can't just write anything on the page.
Or on the page.
It should be the one.
All right.
Just
This way.
basically, like the information that should go
To that.
yeah, like on the page. So, like for example, this is the title, then here it's a report, maybe you have one report or you want to.
Or is it the title of it? Or
the title of the video. Last time I remember was a very short report.
yeah, very short.
And I remember they said, give me something like this, report.
Yeah.
I no, this is the title, it shouldn't be like the longer one is by 6 something. Here you just make it just a simple thing so that you can search for the video, you just find it. Then here, that's where you put the whole whatever information you want. I think let's maybe take it like this. Let's say the to go campaign.
Here.
Yeah, I think so. It was the last time.
Okay, so that's yeah.
You said that
They keep this here.
something like so. It's all that what was specific.
Yeah, SA equals to go.
And then on top we say something there so you put whatever you want to put. If there's any phone number that you must use. This email. Email that you want to use. Not very.
Are you ready?
What's your studio number today?
Baba. Frequency 079.
Please do the countdown.
Okay. In 5, 4, 3, 1.
Good evening. Welcome to the presidential talk with BJ Langa, the president of Eco Forum. I am so ecstatic and so blessed that you have opened your hearts and also your homes and into coming into a table of communion where I have to present certain things which are of mystery. And I believe that as South Africa, we have come into a time and a season where it's important for us to come to a table. Prepare a bit of a glass of water. Some of you prepare coffee or something and take your seat back. And I want us to talk about very intense and profound matters of national interest. Matters that actually requires your total attention. And we can come on the table to deliberate as we talk about them, agree to disagree. Now I'm bringing to you a movement that will bring change, a movement that has the audacity and also the content into putting it out there for reiteration so we can start talking again, because there were times, if you can look back even in the times of apartheid regime, we had talks and we had songs that were relevant for our time, or for that time, also for that season. And whenever we sang the songs, or whenever we came into a space of debate or dialogues, you could hear that this was a time whereby the people of South Africa longed for freedom. But I just want to also extensively bring a progressive talk that will absolutely bring what you call not just a freedom that is of physicality, but an economic freedom, which is the emancipation of our people. So for that reason, there is a need that for us to be granted that opportunity to talk about these matters, and so that we can come to a consensus as a nation, and be able to formulate as we prepare white papers and also green documents that could speak to our future generation. Now, let me begin first by introducing once more this magnificent movement called the Economic Emancipation Forum, and with its acronym name, Eco Forum, which is one of those movements that I believe that even in the times of revolution will bring change and will supersede actually revolution and also evolution, because its anchor, it's more into bringing a theocratic government, a government that is moreover connected to, as I said, that it is connected to Him, the beginning of all things. Now let's begin here by outlining what will be the contribution of this movement, Eco Forum. Eco Forum's contribution, firstly, will be, moreover, as you know that our iteration says, we are not an opposition party, we are a building party. And what do we mean about that? We simply mean that we don't want to come out as if we are counteracting or having to wait for people with a philosophical approach and us coming behind just, as a movement without a herd. But we want to say we are a movement, as I said, that has a content in order to decipher and moreover release to the nation of South Africa in general, and they would love to be articulated as such as a building organization. And also that Eco Forum shall be the trusted advisor and a real voice for the people of South Africa, the change to effect change. And you could become that change and bring change in your nation. At times we squabble and talk and murmur, and we have actually quarrels, that are unspoken. And moreover, we quarrel in our homes, on our streets, we quarrel wherever we have a leisure time. But now the time is come, and it is calling for all South Africans to ascend and come to a place of prompt where we would together hold hands and begin to deliberate on these matters and come to resolutions that can actually take us as South Africa forward. Now, Eco Forum shall be the trusted advisor and the real voice for the people of South Africa, as I said. And I'm going to point again for the last time, be the change to effect that change. Now, we are actually determined to champion community regeneration through revaluing and also appreciating the role of churches. We're going to do that. And also appreciating the role of traditional leadership, our kings and queens and chiefs, because if you know that they have a deed of most of the part of the land that is in South Africa. So it is also important and imperative to give them respect and moreover hold hands with them, and as we come to a place of a consensus in how we taking South Africa forward in regard to land diplomacy. Now again, Eco Forum shall champion a proactive governance required to develop government early warning systems to improve the effectiveness, in service delivery, which is the key thing. You see, one of the things that we need to realize that government will not just be built by policy formation or policy making, but now the implementation of these policies would absolutely be joy to our people. It comes to a point of us now being in cognizance of the fact that some of these promises that we're making as politicians and also as political parties, this kind of promises are actually aligned with ancient promises that are already given to man. But unfortunately, in politics, leaders use such as water, land, and herbs, meaning medicine or medical incentives. They are being utilized to throw as rhetorics in order for people to say, we need water and vote for us, we'll give you water. But these things, if I have to bring correction, because I'm talking a theocratic approach of government, these things are already granted by God. You cannot actually, or we can't afford any longer for our people to be deceived that will give you basics, which are human right, and somebody comes and they begin to parade and say, we'll give you water. No, water is granted by the Creator. So for that reason, that's why when we speak in terms of our approach, as we speak in regard to policy making, we said to South Africa, we actually have adopted 3 words rather than speaking, a volume of a book, and without even delivering one in the very journal. So now we took 3 words which says, let there be. Why? Because ours, in terms of philosophy and ideology, is fully derivative from the Holy Scriptures. And that's why we know and understand that government is not only made by political personalities or political knowledge, or can I say maxims. The government of the people is made of many things, because theocratic approach of government is what South Africa needs in our time. So for that reason, if we can understand that approach, I believe that many of us will come out from wherever we are and get to understand that the time is come and the time has arrived, and we are them that are appointed for such a time as this. So for that reason, understand that I'm taking there 3 words in order for the movement to be effective. Let there be. Now let me give you a result. Let there be light. There was light. Eskom is struggling today. It's a strangulation, and I tell you, it is what we call an energy manipulation that we have in our nation. But now, if we can go back to where things have begun, in the beginning of things, this is not spiritual. This is how government must be led. And I am also inviting every sage and fundi that has to understand that language must change So now we cannot just come here and try to speak as they spoke. We have to speak something new, something fresh, the newnessness that will absolutely enhance and make people to go and vote for their government in 2019. Now, EcoForum shall, as I said, now begin to now reevaluate countries' relationships with other countries and entities, individuals, to establish its relevance and also benefit to our nation as we redefine our country. Now, let me start by saying, in order to give you a clear definition of what we mean when we say re-evaluation of relationships, you need to know that the things that never happened in 1994 and the reasons why they never actually occurred. Now, not because that we don't have the right leadership, not because that we don't have the strong leadership, not because that we don't have, a good, meaning a movement. No, that was in place because these were men and women who were determined, who gave their lives and said, we're going to die. We're ready even to die for this nation. But there was a discrepancy that occurred. Once you keep certain relationships in any government, and even if you can declare democracy, you are democratically meaning enslaved. So now it means that now you are having the motion of democracy, but as a slave economically because of the decisions that were made and in 93, 94. That's why even in our time we need to revisit and also reinvent CODESA so that we can start speaking again and have such kind of round table talks so that a table of communion and communication and communal can actually be presented in South Africa and start talking about matters of national interest and to warn even those of tradition in how things have been. Do not be so traditional to a point that you feel like if there's an emergence of something great, then we starting to try to become gatekeepers and begin to destabilize that which is of power, especially in our time. So now I am coming out to us to, in fact, to say we need to have an open a table that will address matters of importance. An open table that will absolutely bring our politicians and they come on board and we start discussing these matters so that we can get a resolution amicably. So now these relationships that are there, which were also operative in the apartheid regime, we are the voice of the voiceless in our nation. Now EcoForum has a zero tolerance on anything that seeks to promote monopolistic behavior in our approach to inclusive economy. Now, as I said, that EcoForum is the building party and not an opposition party. I said it very clear. We are not an opposition party. We're not opposing, but we're standing for what? We're standing for the truth, meaning we will only stand for the purpose. Get me right here. You see, we'll get to stand for what? For a purpose. And for that reason, that gives us a stand to become an advisory board that will not only just be against a certain movement, but will be against any rhetoric talks in order to impart logos, a word that has a reason and a plan in order to take South Africa forward. Now, EcoForum strongly believes that every responsible South African has something to offer this country. Now, in that regard, EcoForum shall champion a very important sector, the doctrine of what? Of separation of powers. Now, I want to say, South Africa, to everybody, the doctrine of separation of powers, which was actually an inscription that was in the book of life. It was actually there in the book of life. So do not expect us to speak from certain kind of books, which we know that some of the things were tested and could not come and bring joy to our people. We tested communism and we tested socialism. And in those isms, we have not seen, a character that comes and say, we want to work for the people. People, instead of being socialists, they become socialites. So now we need to come and stand against that spirit and that force and raise a leadership that has an interest of its people. Now, the doctrine of separation of powers must actually be established and re-established for the people of South Africa. We need a judiciary that actually, has put its house and its laws accordingly that are in line with humankind. Because again, in line with what God has given in terms of humankind. Now, in other words, we need lawgivers that will establish laws and bills that will pass in the parliament, whereby we'll have men and women with fresh insight that when these bills are being received, then with an eye and a heart of scrutiny, we will have to align them in order to check them and scrutinize in order to say, are these bills or are these laws that has to be enforced right in order to align them with what, with how mankind live in their daily mundane. So now in that case, it will give, if we have many bodies and many members of the parliament that will speak that language and that understand in how to actually enforce laws that would not discriminate men. We're not talking about the discrimination that we hear people propagandizing in media and everywhere. We're talking about the dehumanization, the degradation, the regression of humankind. Of lust in our times that we find, and people are enforcing that through the law. So may God raise leadership in parliament that will stand for no and yes, but standing for the truth in order to build the nation of South Africa. Now again, we need that executive, as we said, that will absolutely stand out, capable, and that has also not just a small, a big heart, deep heart that says, I speak for the people. We are not promoting any sectarianism or to be conservative and say we're standing for a certain group of people. No, our call is for humankind. And as you know, that as we said, we are actually leading it and fully from the Holy Scriptures. So now our modalities are inclusively on 3 dimensions. The first one is restitution. We speak restitution on various accounts. We speak it on law, we speak it on land. We speak land restitution. And you'll hear many people will adopt it, the president, everybody. They will adopt it because this is the way to go. Because when you speak restitution in terms of land, we speak in diplomacy. We're speaking what? We're speaking restoration in how things were taken. How do you restore that back so that you also keep Zacchaeus? You don't kill Zacchaeus. You don't actually segregate Zacchaeus. You don't excommunicate Zacchaeus. You take Zacchaeus on top of the tree. On top of the tree, you say, Zacchaeus, come down. Why? Because now there is what? Redemption has come into your house. Now an economic redemption has come into your house. Now you see, Zacchaeus opens the door of his house and the governor comes in the house. And Zacchaeus starts speaking and he says, for the things that I've taken from the people, as the chief collector or tax collector, I shall actually take them back fourfold. What does it mean? It means this man has seen his mistakes or his father's mistakes, and also the gravity and the gratitude of how a black child or a color or those who are disadvantaged have underwent. And now Zacchaeus comes to a table to say, I am ready for talks. I am ready to what? To redistribute. I am ready to share. So that is what we are looking at as we address the injustices of the past. So land restitution will not kill Zacchaeus, will bring our brothers closer, will bring them as white, will bring them as black, will bring them as Indians and colors, and we will build a South Africa that is of what? Of one race and one voice and one vision. And in that case, a rainbow nation will rise out as what? As a collective. So now Echo Forum speaks restitution. It speaks diplomacy. Why? We need to be diplomatic as a nation. And in whatever we do, especially in the case of food security, especially in the case of land, because now we cannot actually allow a repetition of what we have seen in our sister countries. This thing is real because it could come with many things: sabotage, fear. I mean, if the farmers now start to fear what's going to happen, and now that's the reason why we have 20,000 farms that are on market, but nobody buys them because they are afraid of smash and grabs. So now we need to fix how we are talking our expropriation, in how we are coming out to take what is private, and start talking this, because as I'm saying to you now on this table, on this presidential talk, I'm going to invite Land Bank. I'm going to invite the banks that are here, the 4 big banks in South Africa. I'm going to invite, meaning all those who are working the land already, enjoying, meaning the fruition of the land. I'm going to invite those who have actually were disadvantaged in the past, and let all the stakeholders come and begin to talk. I mean, begin to engage, begin to deliberate on the matter, so that we come to a consensus, a conclusion that actually speaks what we call inclusive secular economy, whereby a white child who does not understand what his or her grandfather or mother has done in the past cannot be actually now be put into, to compel them, to call them thieves, and also what, to begin to now enslave them again and do how things were done, do them again to them. And the young ones, the young generation, even the old generation, we need to start actually now beginning to engage with love, because South Africa can show the nation how things are done, and we can become an exemplary example of how things are done. And in this matter, I said, we're standing for the purpose. We're not standing for a certain ethnicity group. We're standing for for South Africa in general, to say, if we can take these roots and take these methodologies that Ecoforum carries, we will definitely come to a place. Because there are times where you will take this route and say, I'm standing for the white people. You are still at the wrong. We need to bring all these parties together, and especially if we've got understanding of what land restitution and diplomacy is all about. And now, in that regard, we will also begin to restitute the law. Our constitution needs to be dealt with. Beautiful. We are thankful for the inception of it in 1996. We're thankful for the Constitution. But now we need to have a progressive way of how to rectify mistakes or things that would be of what, or would be deadly to our society in years coming. So now we've got a beautiful constitution that needs to be rectified, that needs restitution. We need to reform our constitution accordingly. We need to let the things that used to work to be taken back where they should be taken back. We've got situations in schools where we used to be prayerful at schools, whether we were having diversities or maybe religious differences, but we used to pray at schools. So it was not a matter of an attack to a charismatic move, or to to a certain group of people, while that even in prayer, when they stood, South Africa got its freedom because there was another group that stood. So let us not discriminate what used to work and begin to cut it because there's a propaganda. So we are speaking against propaganda that comes from the West, that it will not be sufficient in South Africa. South Africans will know the truth, and the truth shall set them free. Now when we speak reformation, all reforms that have been spoken of in the media everywhere, we need to check that we need to actually come to all reforms and make sure that we deliver to our people. Now, yesterday I took a drive. I was in a hospital, and I was so shocked in the status quo, the state of the hospitals. How can our mothers and how can our fathers be put in such a predicament? Can I say this? To minister, we can't even blame whether it's Ministry of Health, but they need to know this thing. We cannot actually be, meaning allowing this to be business as usual, while water is dripping on the gutters, while dirty clothes are everywhere. We're talking infections, we're talking these big things, but we cannot start by cleaning the hospitals. Hospitals are dirty. Hospitals are a dead, like, a place of carcass, because that's where when you come in, you can feel that this is not the place for someone who's sick, who needs to be taken care of, where doctors need to work in under some good conditions. We need to go back to our systems and begin to change how systems are. And now we need to know that those people that are there, they are not statistics, they are not just projects. They are a censorship. They are part of our families. They are part of our economy. They are part of our communities. So I call for that the government of EcoForum will make an assurance that now the system of health is being dealt with throughout South Africa. Now, in reiteration, let's speak things again to work. There's fear today. Good leadership cannot come on board because they are fearful of the political, outrages. They are fearful of many things. We are inviting all leadership that is afraid to encounter the sphere of politics. Can I tell you? All the men that are in politics, they've got flesh and blood. So now we need to know that now if they've got flesh and blood, it means they all are like you. So now take up your books and your journal, some great ideas that can help this nation. I, as the president of EcoForum, I'm inviting you to a presidential talk and to be part of this. Every leader that is actually hidden from the business, meaning corporate world, from the church, from the government, you are there. But the thing is, they've built some walls and begin to portray the political spectrum as if it is a field for mafiaism, or a field for hooliganism, or a field, for people who don't have any interest but their own centered interest. But now I am calling for selfless leaders who is modest and who are honest, who are capable. Now ascend now to the mountain of what? Of government. We as the government of EcoForum will welcome you as cadres. You will come as cadres. You will come as our old leadership, and we will welcome you and receive you to become policy makers of our nation, so we can take South Africa forward. Now I want to speak now, meaning in regard with things of importance that I believe that they will shake the nation and begin to bring understanding of us as EcoForum, of our presence. Why will we have such a presence here in Parliament and anywhere, and nobody can stop what God has actually opened? And now these are the things that will bring what we call the new economy. Let me talk towards the new economy, because EcoForum talks what? The new economy. And I'm going to speak things and also in line, so that even those that does not understand big words and that are not actually economically inclined. Now I'm going to bring an inclination of our language in Mzansi, Africa, for you to understand. A mother who comes from a location, for example, will take a bag and enter our retail stores and get the cabbage and get all the groceries and come out there. And when they come out there with joy, they're going home. But there's a problem with this picture, because this same woman is a woman who has a garden. Moreover, a yard. The reason why we also want to hit against RDPs, because there are no yards for our people to go back to the family, agriculture. So you are coming there with your cabbages, and in a mall, you see, in a very structured hub, which only benefits the few. And you are coming there, we are bringing all those thousands and millions in the mall, and then we come out, we go home, and then we cook and we have food and we eat with our children. But the problem is economically we are now being dismantled. Why? Because a mall is being erected in a certain meaning village or location, and in the name of assisting the people. But let me tell you something. The reason is now all those malls are there. They don't even give back to the community. They don't even give back to the people or the elders. But now this is just a propaganda that is actually being installed, and we know about it. But it's been installed in every location, that no matter how they can be politically maturing, but they will not be economically emancipated. So now in that reason they will begin to erect such malls everywhere, malls in places which are, if you look at them, there's regression, there's a great degradation. People are living in shacks, in Alexander, and you'll find there's a zoo just passing by the door, and there's a mall, a beautiful mall. When you enter there, you'll feel like you want to sleep there. That's why people want to spend time in the malls. There are aircons and everything is good, but when they come back home, they start to be devastated because of the state and the structure of their localities. So that in that way, then we find that now there's a need, as Ecoforum, as a government, we say there's a need of local smart transformation, whereby even if we have to begin to destroy every location and start afresh, let it be. Who says that it can't happen and say it will take time? So you want to take a shortcut to what? To destruction? We need to start today. And started today, it will be a calling forth of what? Of black business, white business, everybody coming. And therefore we structure what we call a smart local transformation plan, and also a city with a smart transformation plan. Then we deal with the cities, we deal with the locality. In the localities, we take the city, we bring into the local, so that we kill the rural. Because once they say rural, it means even, you find that the budget can't even go to the rural. It goes in the hands of the councillors, in the hands of the municipal, and some, we've got leadership that doesn't even adhere, the loss of the country, where corruption becomes, meaning the first name, meaning of the doorposts of our municipals. So in that way, when we take back this to the people and begin to empower and develop our people, that's human development. It must be human development before economic development. Before you talk economic development, let us develop our community, so that the very community can be part of what? Of the macro economy. So imagine if you are building the economy, you talk GDP and you talk all in terms of your inflations and rates and repo rates, but at the end of the day, the people that are actually are meant for that are not part of that. So there's a discrepancy that needs reiteration. And Ecoforum as a government has to reiterate and speak again these things. Now, I'm speaking the new economy. Now, the first in all the things that we have actually jotted, the first jotted, a heading is reindustrialization of our peripheral industries, which we're talking about peripheral parks. How come do you close? How can you, government, close the factories that used to actually feed us and take us to school? If you close those hubs in locations, you have killed the community. And you have opened another, but you have killed another sector. So I find it very, I would say, disturbing that now, all these industries are closed. Why? We don't know. Nobody answers. Why? Because they've got another question also to say, you see how things are done. They are done because we died. We fought for you. They always, who fought for you? And people are throwing such questions. But now you need to know that our fathers fought for, they fought for South Africa. They died for South Africa. You are not the only people who died for South Africa. So now we don't want to enter into such deliberation no more, whereby as if we are owing a certain party something. We are not owing anybody something. We are called together to come as a collective to solve these matters. So instead of you going to reopen industries that works for our people, textile and clothing, I mean, our people overlocks, our people uses machines. They do socks, they do from sock to what? To caps. But now today we don't have them. We don't have Babelehi industries. We don't have Dimbaza. We don't have even industries in where? In Durban, in KZN. We don't have Nkangala, industries. Now, why? Because we have a leadership that did not do a full introspection on things that used to work. It doesn't mean when you come as a new government into another government or incorporation that you need to change everything. You need to do introspection and check first whether things that works or whether things that don't work. But for the things that works are there to be kept. And if there's a need of improvisation, then we improvise. So I find it inhumane that you can move industries from the location, because that is a hub for our people. So Eco Forum as a government is coming on board as we are coming to Parliament, also by your votes. We are coming there by your votes. And as we are coming there, we are coming to reindustrialize peripheral parks in our nation, all over our nation. And also, we want to reprioritize and also put our focus on what? On the economy. But towards what? Towards, meaning the primary and the secondary economy. And so that we can actually incorporate them so that we build them concurrently to a concurrent economy that is inclusive. That's why we're talking inclusive secular economy. Because on the other hand, if you are building, for example, you are dealing with agriculture, and you need to deal with agriculture also in market, and go back and check how pastoralization, or we can say a family agriculture, is doing. Get back to the locations and begin to rise those farmers. That has to come out and also receive a market, and have a market, so that when they have a market, that they can begin to trade, also have a trade. And when you start doing that, then you are raising local farmers in order to have a local market. And that to it is important. How are we going to do that? We have started doing that. In Winterfell, for example. Now, if you can go even in Mabopani, you can go there. We've got our confidants that are working on that. And we've got it in Johannesburg, we've got it in everywhere. Why? Because we believe in it. So we're doing it. We are not going to do it. We are not promising people. We are at an act here. That's what we are doing. So now we get on your yacht, and we check the length and the width of your yacht. And when we see there's a space, then we use the space of your yacht. We can even use tires, the car tires. Even if you don't have a good yacht, we can use car tires and put sand in it, good sand, and begin to seed in it. And we'll have tomatoes, we'll have spinach. So people will not just become subservient consumers, but you are teaching them to become producers. And that is what the government must do. The Promising Act, and South Africa must awake, because the Promising Act is a lying act that has killed the politics of this nation, and it has killed the integrity of the leadership. So now I am calling forth for everybody. Today, we're going to start the take that. You can call us. When you call us, you will know for sure. Call us and you will know for sure that this thing works, and it works mightily on 079-590-4302. 079-590-4302. My office will attend you, and they will assist you accordingly. If you need to build, if you need to start agriculture in your location, at the backyard of your house, we are here as Eco Forum. We will make sure that you get the seed, and we will train you and assist you in how to get your plants right, so you can have your tomato, your spinach, your cabbage, and have them at the back of your yard. Come on. Imagine if you have your meat in your house, and now in a minute of a time, you go to your garden and you begin to cultivate, you begin to harvest. So that's what we need to do. We can't depend depend on importation. We need to grow our local farmers for local market, for exportation, so that our local economy, which is of South Africa, can begin to grow and mature and contest in a global economy. Now listen to me. Now I'm being practical because I want to show you how we are doing it. We even plant on the walls. We've got a technology that actually helps us to plant on the walls. We can plant your tomatoes on the walls. We can plant even on a soil that actually had never given birth, given any kind of food, a breed and any kind of food into harvest. And in that way, that's how you're going to train many people who are actually now howling and crying unemployment, but need to know Africans are actually farmers. So let us now begin to as we reform even our agriculture sector, so that we can bring our people back to that kind of dimension. Now, you need to know, as you are doing agriculture, make sure that also you work on minerals. We're talking energy, minerals and energy now. Now, let me be just quite open about this, because this is more meaning out there, and I believe it's more political. But now, can I be honest with you? Some of the injustices that actually took place in our nation, it's when we allowed certain trades and certain relationships that actually had outlined what we call a three-way trade, and whereby we remain slaves forever, and our minerals were extracted and polished, and finished products were brought back to ourselves. And even if we need the machinery or the kind of equipment to do what we have, we can't get the licenses, and we're struggling to actually do what we have to do. It is actually not right for any governments to sign such kind of agreements, and it is not right to enter into such relationships and enter into 1,000-year relationships like you are entering in a relationship with God. Really, imagine, even the people who entered it have died, and we are locked and bound in such relationships. So we need to go back and question, and even if we have to dismantle, because sometimes we are being threatened of, if you make such decisions to stand for yourselves and realize your potential as a continent or as a nation of South Africa, there's going to be sabotage and all that. We need to face this head on, so that people can know that South Africa is not a dark continent. We are people, we have blood, and we sought also to live a life which is prosperous. And as a nation, we are going to stand. And you see, as the government of EcoForum is coming forward to the Augusta House, we are going to address such issues, because we are not here to play a man. We are here to play, meaning issues of the system. Now, minerals are out there, and in some of our houses there are minerals. We need to get, teams to explore. Let there be exploration. Let us discover. Let us find out. We've got so much, and we cannot afford to allow these big companies to take ownership on these minerals, because they've got the money, they've got the bucks. We need to dismantle that. Let the business, in South Africa, come on board. As I'm talking to now, we have now begun to we have launched what we call BESA, which is Business EcoForum South Africa, which is going to be operative even in the southern part of Africa. We'll be calling for all businessmen to come, and the investment will start there. We're going to be just a communion, and we're going to just be a mighty force that has to stand and do this right in order to execute the Commonwealth of South Africa and Africa in general. And now let me just go further because of time and all that. Now, as you deal with this, now you need to know that the new economy cannot operate without technology. I'm going to say this to all of us. We need technology economies. Technology economies will help us in terms of tourism, in terms of ocean economy, in terms of our researchers and many things, and some of the sectors that I've already also stipulated. Now in regard to also tourism, our taxi industry, which is our traditional industry when it comes to transport, and it transports a third of South Africans. And we need, even if there could be any kind of invention or innovation or improvisation, we need to consider our brothers who are taxi owners and taxi drivers, and educate them and give them time to learn this technology so that they can be part of the growth, and be part. Let us not point them as if they are not educated, or maybe they are just taxi drivers. That is very wrong. We need, as leadership, to come and have a talk with them, have a consensus with them, so that when any other application comes, they could be part of the application, to help them to run their finances and also the business in a way that is sufficient and that will give them even more volumes, and also, a great influx in terms of what? In terms of in terms of their profits. So now, in that regard, I am calling forth for the taxi industries to say, now, EcoForum has a system, we have an application that will help our traditional taxi industry in how tourism should be actually led in our nation, so that they can also enjoy. Because remember, we never knew how phones were utilized in 1993, coming about now to 2019. But today, an old woman who is 78 years of age, they handle their phones, they handle their WhatsApps, they handle their Facebooks, and it's so amazing. Because why? We never knew. Actually, we thought for someone to have a phone, it was devilish, and even to a level of a computer, it was worse. Y2K, you remember 2000, computers will crash. We never knew about it, while the West were operative and working, and so that at the end we can be enslaved and actually import what comes from them in terms of the skill, in terms of knowledge. No, we need to stop it, and we stop it right here. And the government of EcoForum is actually speaking live, because we are not here to play games, not retreat, no surrender. We're going to stand, and we are not going to let any stone unturned, no tent unstoned. We're coming for you, tents, the churches. We are coming for you now. You need to know your position, because your position is that one of governance. That's why you see there's a heat that actually requires us to come speedily together and begin to execute the order of things, and also execute the justice, because we are trusted for justice in our nation. So now we need to know that we are the government, and we don't. You see, let me tell you this: politics is not the only government to take care of the governments. You see, theocratic government is the church. Can I answer? One people ask me, what is your take on this issue of regulation, of regulating the church? Let me tell you, you see, the church or religious body is the government. It's what you call theocratic government. If you have to ask me, you need to actually refer to this talk today. And so when the president spoke, he said, you see, a religious body, the church, is the government. And you can go and Google, and if you miss it, and as an intellectual, as a man with an academia, we have missed it already. But now go back there. Politics are government, democracy is government, but the church is a theocratic government. So you can't do it to the church. The church must be given the platform to start doing it right for themselves, so that the church can also be in order and the justice of God can prevail. So you are not going to stand there and start mocking the church, mocking the pastors and all that. We need to be sensitive, because you need the church to be part of the stakeholdership to build South Africa and take it forward. Now, in that regard, we're talking technology. Now, in technology, I said we'll take technology everywhere. We'll take technology into the police stations, or I could say into the police stations, or take it also into the health departments or the hospitals, practically. Police stations, hospitals. And we're going to do a wonderful system that we have, and we have it here. And it will be utilized in those departments. And one person or few of them will have the Passover. And the password, you see, that password will take them through in order to be able to get the information. So now if the commander has the password and some other officials or personnel, then it will give them the opportunity to can what? To when someone comes into the police station looking for a certain docket, you know, the only way to the docket is a what? It is a long, meaning it's a long password that must be entered there so that someone can access a certain document, and therefore information will be also encrypted there. Also, the information of the one who is searching will also be be recorded so that we know who took what and when. Now you are helping all these policemen in, you know, coming out of corruption. I mean, sometimes not having bread, people not having bread, they just start to think, you know, corruptible, with a corruptible mentality. But now you are helping them, you are bringing them out of such illicit acts. So now sometimes systems are better because we try to say, do not steal. We tried in terms of the weight, but people are stealing anyway. But now we need to go back to systems, because systems will help us. Because when there's such a system that speaks Genesis, that says you cannot be able to take if you have not yet recorded, then you know for sure that even those that knows that they can steal, they can't steal no more. So that will help us also on guns. Our guns will have what you call a DNA. I will talk about this until you see it manufactured on, you know, whether we have to open our own or the government will adopt it, it is well. But we are not going to take it when people try to sabotage this. We're going to speak about it, and we are the first to speak about this. It could be that they have attempted, but we are speaking about this now to say a DNA technology is coming to South Africa, and it's here already. It's here already to help us with this corruption, with mortality. So this DNA would be on the barrel, on the gun. Now every rifle will have that kind of a DNA that also goes with what we call a camera, meaning a technology that will, whenever a policeman takes out a gun from wherever, then automatically you are on camera. It's like you're on camera where you are being employed, or maybe wherever you know the mainframe, whether you bought the gun, the mainframe that will be put in place in South Africa, you are on camera. We know that you were in trouble. We know that you were attacked. We know that you were attacking. So you will know the case is now clear. We know exactly how to go about the case, and in the case of that event. So now in that way, the camera will help us to see the one who is the shooter and the one who is shot. And now going further, and the DNA will help us with the pulse and also with the fingerprint. So if somebody is dead or is sleeping there, you can't use anybody's finger. No child will take a gun from his father's, meaning his father's closet, and use it to kill another child, or maybe mistakenly trying to show and kill, another child. And we have an immature mortality that takes place in our nation. So now this technology will help us in that regard. Now coming to health systems, remember, health system, people are on lines every day. They die being on lines. Why? Because of fires that we don't see. We don't find the fires. But if there's a system there, and whenever a person comes, ID, put your name there, ID there, then poops, we know exactly what happened to this person in Mpumalanga. And when he comes to Gauteng, now we need to know exactly how to connect the diagnose, and so that we can actually give them the right prescription. Then that will help us, actually will diminish, wrong prescription, and also mortality in the hospitals. And that is the technology we're talking about. Now in order for me to be able to bring this understanding, because I believe we have lifetime to talk about these matters, and we have all in order to deal with this matter of the new economy, because it's important for all of us to understand. Now, there is a need of what we call revitalization of economic active cooperatives. We remember that now cooperatives were introduced in South Africa, and how they were introduced is that you will bring people together, but now they only benefited them in terms of savings. So we can't have one account there and also loans. No, we need kind of cooperative that will speak directly to our economy. Anything, education directly to our economy. We need to teach our children to a point that they go straight and they can become who they must become. So same applies to this. Cooperative that speaks only to us saving our money and enriching the few. I mean, the case that we heard. And so we need to diminish such kind, meaning of carelessness in our nation and come to a point where this, economic active cooperatives are being raised as what? As financial hubs that will actually begin to empower our people, cooperatives, and make also visual banking. So now EcoForum believes in banking. We don't believe in nationalization, because when you say nationalization, you must know it might be open or closed. If you say it's open, it means Zimbabwe can come and also nationalize themselves in South Africa. But now when you say localization, you are talking about South Africa as a local. You are talking about Mzansi, South Africa as what? As a local, and also looking at its what? At its economy, in how to grow it, in how to assist even its sister and brother countries. So now in that way, now you can begin to raise a group of whether even bankers, new breed bankers, and they can actually be trained in visual banking and also in cooperatives when in line with agriculture and other things, and also those who will need its literacy. But those who have the literacy of banking can come to virtual, and so that we grow from even us using meaning the fiat currencies that we're using today. Because remember the injustice that were made in 1971 of the paper money that has captured us to date. I mean, we have been captured. I mean, to date, they've even put our grandfather that we love so much on a paper that they know that one day it will come and begin to collapse. So that fiat currency doesn't have a lifespan, or 100-year lifespan. We are in a trouble now, because that's why you will see our, we are being all the time, being stringed and taken up, down, fuel, up, down. Food prices are going up, down. Why? Because somebody is trying to safeguard the interest of their investment and their currency. So the fiat currency is coming down, and there's going to be an uprise of cryptography that will be talking us back to what? To a currency which is eternal, which is silver and gold. And I want to say this and declare it very proudly: silver and gold are mine. And I want to tell you, that's the real money. That's why if you go to UK, their backup is silver. If you go to USA, their backup is gold. Why? Because they've got to understand how to play this thing around. But now, us in South Africa, we are all the time, we must actually begin to consult. We are not going to consult because we have already leadership that has the understanding of how things must be done. And EcoForum comes as that leadership in order to give directives in how the nation should actually, undergo and also take these things and understand how things underwent there. That from 1971, rand was cornered. I mean, remember, rand was dollar. Why? Because rand was actually more powerful than dollar. 63 cents for a dollar in 71, coming out to 73. And you go up, and you'll see the rand was 2 rand 23 for a dollar in 80s. And it went as far as 3 rand to now rand is 14 rand, meaning with a couple of cents. Why? Because we are being cornered somewhere. There's a relationship that is not actually, it goes on one direction. It doesn't serve the purpose of these two parties. So we need to be particular in these matters and begin to start talks on those matters. We need to see our rand actually coming out. We need to see our rand working for us. It's important. I'm calling for all South Africans. We are speaking rand diplomacy as what? As the government of EcoForum. Rand diplomacy, where we are not using soldiers to go and fight and go and do peace making in other nations, but we utilize our rand in order to say, with this rands, this is what we can do with our interest, and we grow. Because if we can grow as the brother of this nation, we will be able, as the strong currency and the strong economy, will be able to stand for them, so that each and every country that is of the West that has an interest to our people, and they will not be able to enter, because we have entered and we are holding hands with Africa. And I believe that will be a great renaissance that has ever been made in our nation, and we'll be doing it with a clear heart, with a clear mandate, and also we'll be seeing what its results and resolutions come into pass. So now, in that reason, I'm saying to all of us, We need to actually begin to climb to this opportunity, climb to the boat, come to the vehicle. Imoto, yaga ekoforum iyahamba. There's a vehicle here. Hashtag Ishivungu, hashtag Amandlaluya, hashtag South Africa back to God. So when we say God, we are not just saying it because we are some reverends that are calling unto God, some bishops. No. These are professionals who are talking God as an inclusive God without borders, a God who is the creator. He is a God. It matters not what you believe. He is a God who created the heaven and the earth. And if you need resolutions, you must go back to him. Because some of this document that we put on table, they fail. But God never failed. Let there be light. There was light. ESCOM is failing today. But not because it fails, but because of what? Of the leadership and for energy manipulation. But now I can tell you now that EcoForum as a government has a resolution. And I'm telling you, I'm going to bring in the studio. I'm going to bring in the studio, and it's going to be a presidential talk. I'm going to bring our partners that will be talking to you in regard to what I'm telling you now, that we can actually resolute what ESCOM is going through. We are not going to allow any other thing to stand. Let me tell you this. I mean, this thing is so natural. The natural law will take its place. Some people will not know what has hit them because you can't do this to people forever because you want to enrich yourselves. You cannot. And we are declaring to say, stop it, leadership. Stop it and start serving the people. And it will be great if you can remember that you are doing this for the people as you are sleeping there in your homes. Remember and have peace in your heart. Because once you do right for the people, then you'll have peace in your hearts. So let us reconsider what is going on now and stop this manipulation of energy. I mean, for example, let me tell you, beside talking nuclear energy, we can talk, a cow dung. How come didn't our science or our science, a sage, come on a platform and begin to introduce cow dung as an alternative for what? For lights. How come? For energy. How come? Because why? People are doing it for relationships. So for that reason, I say EcoForum has within its coffers, we have a solution. And I'm going to bring in the studio one of our partners, one of the doctors that will sit here with me and on this presidential talk, and we'll be talking energy. And it's going to be very soon. I might even do it this Wednesday. Could be this Wednesday, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. I'll bring the doctor, I'm going to check his diary. But now, if he's here, we'll be talking on how we can actually bring resolution on energy manipulation. And let me say this lastly. The government of EcoForum is determined to stand by you and stand with you. You, as the real government, our people, vote EcoForum 2019. Don't worry about our experience. We never knew that anybody will have the experience, for they have come without even experience. But we had our experience in our own, in our own spectrum. And we are coming with that same experience to place it before you. EcoForum is an organization of the people. It's an organization of all South Africans. And it's dedicating this, even their growth plan of action, to everybody out there, to all humankind, to all our people who lives with albinism. We are preparing here a document that speaks to you, that you must get that great attention for spectacles, for lotions. You are our brothers. We love you. And also people, our brothers, people who are abled differently. Let's stop this thing of disability. A person whom you call disabled has the ability on something that you can do while you have 2 hands or 2 legs, while you can walk. They win today, meaning championships, and you can't even win them while you have your hands. So today, EcoForum dedicates this GPA 2100 to all people who are abled differently. And we say, EcoForum is for South Africa. And I want to declare once more, South Africa back to God. Thank you. Ngahema. Hey, Holy One,